Comparison often enters very quietly. You see another artist's work, and suddenly your own work feels smaller. They're better than me. I'm behind. I don't have enough talent. Most artists are extremely focused on the outcome of their work, the finished piece, the result, the exhibition, whether it's good enough, whether it says something about them. And to an extent, that makes sense, because the work does reflect us. People see the work, and through that work, they form an image of who we are. But I think there's something much deeper happening underneath that. Because behind every work, there's also the way someone was present while making it. And that changes everything. Because then the question is no longer only, what did you make? But also, how were you while making it? Most people separate the process from the outcome, as if they are two different things. The process becomes the thing you endure to eventually arrive somewhere else. The goal, the result, the image you have in your mind of who you want to become or what you want to make. But the strange thing is that the goal itself is never actually here. It only exists psychologically, as an idea, as a projection, as a story about a future version of yourself. And because of that, many artists end up living mostly in relation to an imagined outcome, instead of the actual experience of making the work itself. But quality in art, and honestly, maybe in life as well, seems deeply connected to presence. Because when you are truly present, you perceive more tones, more subtlety, more relationships, more nuance. You begin noticing things that were already here, but that you hadn't fully seen before. And I think that's often what artists actually do, and what art actually is. Not to invent a new reality, but to perceive more of it. And that depth of perception translates into the work itself. Not because you forced expression, but because the quality of your attention changed. So the process becomes something very different, not just a means to an end, but a direct lived experience. A space where you can observe where your attention goes, how restless your mind is, how receptive you are, how much you are actually perceiving right now. And I think this is something that is rarely talked about, especially in art education. We talk a lot about technique, concept, career, style, but much less about the actual state of awareness while we are creating. I remember often hearing in art school that it's important for an artist to develop a recognizable visual language or a unique way of working, a signature. And usually, that was understood technically. Materials, methods, processes. But I've started wondering if the deeper how is actually about consciousness, about attention, about how present someone is while working. Because whether we realize it or not, our work reflects the quality of our attention. We can't fully separate the two. The work is not disconnected from the way it was lived. It carries traces of it. And maybe that's why how we work may be more important than the work itself. Because the process is not separate from the outcome. They are deeply interconnected. The work is almost like an extraction, or a residue, or a lived experience of attention. And when we become more aware during the process, the work often changes naturally. Not because we forced it to, but because we changed while making it. So maybe the real question is not only, what am I making? But how am I relating to the experience of making? Because in the end, the process is not separate from life. It is life, happening through attention.